Right, Roz is in Woodside Park. Hello, Roz.
Hello. I'd like to know, have you ever had a partner in your business that you're in now?
Yes.
Yeah. Is this recent, yeah?
Not that recent. Within the last few years or so.
So you split away from this partner, yeah?
I didn't split away. It was a very temporary thing.
Right.
It was done.
And what made you go into the business you're in now?
It was a way of. I couldn't really think what I could do with my life that would be interesting.
Yeah.
And earn lots of money.
Yeah. Are you married?
No.
No. How tall are you approximately?
I'm 5'8", exactly.
5'8". Are you a singer?
A singer?
Yeah.
I've done it.
You've done singing, but you're not singing now?
Well, it depends really. Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
So you're not professional. You're not professionally singing now.
Well, I do it throughout the year, off and on. But it's only one of the things really.
Yeah.
It's not like my main living really.
I see.
Roz.
Yeah.
One more question and then a guess, please.
Do you try to model yourself on anyone in particular?
Not anymore.
No. I can only think. Are you Paul Young?
No.
No. Okay.
I'm too short to be Paul Young.
Well, yeah.
I'm sorry you didn't get it right, but I have to tell you, you have the most intelligent line in questioning on the Mystery Guest Challenge
Thank you very much.
anybody ever has. I think it's wonderful.
Thank you.
Try again. Thank you very much. Sydney's in Harrow.
Hi. I was wondering if your Mystery Guest was Richard Digance.
No, I'm not.
What made you think he might be?
I don't know, just the voice.
Well, no. He's not, actually. I don't know if you tell jokes and sing folk songs, but...
I've done a turn in my time.
Sydney, good guess, but not good enough. Chris is in Islington.
Hello, are you a sportsman?
Not as such, no.
Are you an entertainer Are you an entertainer?
Yeah, in various ways.
What are you going to say? You're going to say, are you an entertainer and... What does that mean?
I'm trying to work something out, that's all.
Are you an entertainer and do you get booed off?
Are you on television at all?
I do it occasionally, yes.
In what, drama or what?
No, not drama, no, I'm not an actor.
Have you ever?
I've not acted, no. No, I've done some presenting, that sort of thing, but I've not actually acted as such.
Are you a singer?
Yeah, that's the last person I said. I do it, but it's only one of the things that I do.
What's your profession then?
Well, that's all part of it, really.
What, singing?
Yeah, that's involved in it, really.
It's a direct question, that, Chris.
Yeah, are you a director or what kind of business are you in? Show business? Directly or?
Well, I direct things, I produce things, I own things.
Are you a producer then?
Of sorts, yes, I do that as part of it.
So it's obviously showbiz, Chris. I don't think you needed to ask that question.
You haven't been on television recently, have you?
Yeah, a few days ago.
On what programme?
That would be too precise.
Yeah, that would nail it down.
Well, okay, what channel then?
4.
Channel 4. This week?
What's this week then?
On the Tube?
No, it wasn't the Tube, no.
Right, now then, Chris, that's several questions.
I haven't got a clue, actually. I thought perhaps he might have been a sportsman, but I haven't got a clue.
You've done pretty well. You've given a lot of other people some help. Thank you very much indeed for joining in. Nothing wrong with being the second person to ask and get it wrong. John is in Marylebone. Hello, John.
Good evening. Just one quick question. Has your mystery guest recently fulfilled a 10-year ambition?
A 10-year ambition?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Oh.
Not that I'm aware of, anyway.
What a pity.
So I dare say it's not Dave Clark.
No.
Maybe his ambition. It remains to be seen whether it's anybody else's.
Okay.
Old Dave Clark, I'm speaking. A pity about that. I must say I haven't heard too many good things about that. Have you seen it yet?
No, I've heard about the stage, though, and I admire anyone that puts that amount of time and money and effort into a stage.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward very much to going to see it, but so far all the people I've asked have said don't bother. But I intend to make my own mind up about it. However, Dave Clark is not sat here in front of me, so Ben in Islington.
Hello?
Hello, Ben.
I think it's Nick Kershaw.
What made you think that?
Well, it's the voice, really.
It's the voice.
Yeah.
It's the wrong voice.
Oh.
It just sounded an awful lot like him. And when he said that he did singing, and he hasn't done a single for quite some time, I thought it might be him.
It wasn't, I'm afraid, Ben. So, thank you very much.
Right then.
Right. Sanjay.
Am I througto LBC?
Well, Sanjay, if you're not, then we're all in deep and dire trouble.
Is it Paul Hardcastle?
No.
It's not.
It's not.
It's not. What made you think it was?
Because he was talking about producing, and he sounded very much like Paul Hardcastle. And Paul Hardcastle, in fact, is 5'8".
Fancy that. Fancy you knowing a thing like that. You're obviously a fan.
That's right, yeah.
Yes.
So it's not Paul Hardcastle?
It's not, no. I would suspect you would think my guest here sings a little bit more.
Really?
That would be my theory on it, but I don't know. I'm totally unhip. Barbara. Barbara in Dagenham.
Hello.
Yes.
Oh, I think it's Eddie Kidd.
You think it's who?
Eddie Kidd.
Eddie Kidd.
Yes.
Now, that's not too bad a guess, actually. I don't think that's too bad a guess. It's not the right guess, Barbara.
Oh.
What made you think it was Eddie Kidd?
Well, he likes sport. Ride a motorbike.
Yes.
Did this to guess.
But my guest did say that he would have done all that had he not done what he now does, which we've established is something to do with show business and something to do with singing now and again. So, Barbara, thank you very much indeed. Maybe we ought to have Eddie Kidd on here. I'd like to see him again, see how many bits he's in. Andrew is in Ewell.
Hello?
Hello, Andrew.
Oh, can I ask a Mr. Guest, does he have a beard?
Do I what?
Do I have a beard?
Yes.
No, I don't.
Have you ever had a beard?
No, never.
He doesn't have a beard. Now, that knocks on the head what suggestion that you had in mind?
I thought it might be Richard Branson.
Yes.
Because the voice sounds very similar, and when he mentioned he owned things, it clicked.
Yes, that's right. Well, no, actually, you'd be surprised. You are not very far from the mark there. In one way, and in one way only, well, at least only one way I know, you're getting a bit off the ground with that one.
Oh, well.
Very definitely. Definitely getting off the ground with this. All right, Daniel is in Finchley. Hello, Daniel.
Hello.
Hello, Daniel.
Yeah, I think it's Jules Holland.
No.
No?
It's not Jules Holland.
Okay.
I'm not sure Jules Holland would talk to the like of me, actually. Thank you very much. Right, so we have established my guest likes to own things, in fact does own quite a few, does produce, is in show business, does sing, was abroad for a while, came back again, has not produced, as far as we know, any mega-buck musicals. So, who is it? 353-8111 is the number. And very shortly, I think we will be finding out who it is. Da-da-da-da. It's... Is it Ken? That's right, yes.
Yes. Hello.
Hello, Ken.
Does your mystery guest enjoy flying by any chance?
Yeah, I do.
You do?
Yes.
Do you also enjoy producing bands?
Yes, I do that as well.
You do. What about making videos?
I've done a few, yeah.
Yes, that's what I thought. I think you're Gary Numan.
Yeah, that's it.
Now, Ken, you are not wrong. And you knew some time ago, didn't you? But we wanted to embarrass all those other people. Ken, how did you guess?
I knew the voice immediately. I've been a fan of Gary since, our Friends Electric.
Yes.
And ever since, it's really great to sort of hear you on the radio and talk to you.
Thank you.
Well, Ken, well done. We send you a T-shirt for that, and anyway, you probably feel smug enough. Now, would you like to ask some questions from a point of obvious knowledge?
Yes. What about the Plan album, which you released recently?
Yeah.
Or at least last year. Did you ever think you were going to release that album?
No, Beggars Banquet actually released it, the old record company, and it was done as demos, really, just to get as all part of getting the contract, and it was never expected to be released at all. It was really done just to show them what I had when I went out gigging. That's why it was all punk stuff, because that's what I was doing then to try and get a contract.
Because I thought that stuff was really good. I mean, it was fresh.
Fresh, it was 77 rip-off punk, actually. I didn't like it much then. I really did it just to get a contract, so I wanted to join the business and not get rid of it.
Yes. What does it feel like to have a number one?
It's funny. It's very nice 2 years later. At the time, it's a little bit too much to take in, really.
Yes.
How many records of Gary's have you got, Ken?
Practically everything.
Really?
Yes.
There's quite a few now, isn't there?
Yes, it is. I've been sort of collecting over a period of years. Because, well, you've even inspired me to try and write songs. So.
Well, that's good, because that's what happened to me. I saw somebody on the telly and decided to do it myself.
Who was the somebody?
It was started when I was very young, actually, with Hank Marvin, strangely enough. Then my real big man was Mark Bolan. It was my
yes.
That was brilliant.
Yes, no,
And before that, a little bit the Monkeys, actually, strangely enough.
I can hear a bit of Bolan in what you do, or at least what you did, which you wouldn't be ashamed of admitting, would you?
No, I wouldn't, actually.
Ken, well done then. Thank you very much indeed. We'll say goodnight to you. 3538111 then. We no longer have a mystery in front of us. We have Gary Numan in front of us, and if you'd like to talk to him about the very many things that he has done, both in the air and on the air, if you know what I mean, then you can call us on Nightline 3538111. Anthony is our first real caller as opposed to challenger. Go ahead.
Hello, Gary.
Hello.
Hello, another one of your fans here, I'm afraid.
That's all right.
I'd just like to know if you're flying any air shows this year.
Yeah, I'm down for 16 at the moment.
At 16. Does that include Biggin Hill and Duxford North? Not Duxford. I can't remember. Westmoreland, rather.
Yeah, Westmoreland. There should be a few Duxford, hopefully. Biggin Hill, definitely. It's the first big one.
Yeah, that's right. I'll probably get to meet you then.
Yeah.
That's the only chance I get to meet you at the air shows.
It's a little bit difficult because it isn't really the place for it. If you know what I mean,
Yeah.
you're very busy with other things. It takes quite a lot to prepare the aeroplane and briefings for displays. I do get a bit nervous as well because it's a little bit dangerous and I am quite new to it. And I do try to get away if I can a little bit on my own just to think about what I'm going to be doing. And the last thing you want is people screaming at you.
Yeah, I can understand that, yeah.
And like at Westmoreland one year, they trampled a fence down and shot across the field. I mean, that sort of thing is a bit embarrassing because the other pilots don't like it. And it doesn't help me, really, when I'm trying to break into something, which they're already a little bit cautious about me anyway, because of the background that I've come from and the reputation that I've got.
You've been flying today, haven't you?
Yeah, I was up at Duxford today, yeah.
What were you flying?
I got a World War II thing called a Harvard. It's just a single engine. Well, it is a genuine World War II history aeroplane.
Was it a fighter aeroplane or a trainer?
It was an advanced trainer. It was one in the middle, really.
Right. And did you restore it?
No, I bought it ready to run. It was. It's about the cheapest of that kind of aeroplane that you can get. And so I did have a big black one, a modern one before that, so I sold that to buy the Harvard. And as I say, it was ready to run. I just more or less got in and fired it up and away we went.
You'd rather own something that is historical than something really smart and modern, would you?
Personally, yeah, I think they've got more character to them. They're certainly more demanding to fly. Out of light aircraft, this is. And as such, that they will improve your skills better than a conventional aeroplane.
Have you flown a Spitfire?
No, I can't get near one for love nor money. No, the trouble with Spitfires is that apart from one, they're all single-seaters, and they're valued at between 300 to 500,000. So nobody will let you go in one, really, unless you're very, very highly experienced. And I'm not yet.
No, I'm afraid to say that you had a wild reputation for a time, didn't you?
Yes, well, I've still got it, unfortunately, amongst a lot of people. And I really don't... It does go to show the power of the press, when it's about it, because I was actually a passenger in an aeroplane that crashed in a field and ended up in the back road. And since then, over the years, that's evolved that I was flying it and it landed on a motorway. and it does go to show what the press can do if they want to, really.
Do you mind, surely, for somebody who's in show business, publicity of any sort is okay?
It's okay in that it gets your name known, but it's when it makes you a laughing stock or something that you're very, very proud of and you would like to become very good at, I don't like that very much, no. I would like it. You see, there's not many people in the music business that get off their backsides and do something different, really. I think Simon Le Bon's great. Now, he's got a lot of stick because he had a mishap. And I think that's dreadful, really. You know, I think when people do get up and go out and do something a bit different, especially if it's a bit interesting or a bit dangerous, perhaps, I'd have thought they'd have been applauded, perhaps, a little bit, not made a joke out of.
I suspect it's a mixture between looking for a good story, which is what journalists do, I'm afraid to say, and envy.
Yeah, possibly. It's an occupational hazard, we shut up and put up, really.
Anthony, did you have another question?
Please. I just would like to know Gary's opinion on the press about them being so hostile ever since day one.
Yeah, well, I'm still here, aren't I, really? And I'm still richer than them. So, to be honest about it, it don't really matter, you know. Spotty 16-year-olds writing stories about me, I can take it and leave it, really.
Yeah, well, just as long as you stay at the top then, Gary, we won't...
Well, I ain't been there for a while, but I'm hanging on.
Anthony, thank you very much indeed. Now, I think it might be time for some music. I think this is an appropriate moment. No, it isn't, because nobody's put the needle on the disc yet, so we'll work up to this technological
thing. Scratched, anyway.
It is, actually. I suspect it's going to be my copy of Our Friends Electric, which is very old and much loved. I tell you, the first time I played that was I was working for an extremely straight radio station in Wales that usually played Iris Williams and Max Boyce. And I played Our Friends Electric on the morning show. And I'm surprised to say that I was there the next day, but there was something of a furore. David's in Finchley. Hello, David.
Hello, Gary.
Hello.
Have you got a new release lined up?
Yeah, there's one came out about 6-7 days ago called This Is Love. That's the latest attempt, if you like.
Oh, I see. Do you like appearing on Top of the Pops?
I haven't done it now for about a year, but I do actually, yeah. I think the programme takes a lot of stick, and it is a little bit predictable in its format, but it's a laugh, you know. You get to meet other bands, and if the bands that are on it are friendly, it's great. Some of them are a little bit stuck up at times, which you'll find surprising, especially when we're all in it together, you know. But most of them are pretty good, and you can have a laugh with them, you know, in a bar afterwards. It's good, really. I like it.
Please, could you send me 2 signed pictures, please?
Yeah, right, where to?
Where should I leave the telephone number and address?
What you do, David, is you hang on for a bit.
Yeah.
And our operator will talk to you and take down your address.
Okay, then.
And you've given me the opportunity to say that if you would like one of Gary's autographs, then we'll only allow him to do 10, otherwise he'll be here all night signing. So 3538111 if you'd like to put a question to Gary, and if you want to get his autograph, you have to ask an intelligent question first. You can't just come on and say, can I have your autograph? So with me is Gary Numan. He's here until 11, and if you'd like to talk to him, then dial the number. Let's hear some music up to the news, and we'll hear some more afterwards. This is the new record called This Is Love, which also includes a free interview, flexi-disc, with in-depth revelations about Gary Numan and his character. So I'm persuaded. Only time will tell. And that's the title of the new single from Gary Numan, who's here until 11 o'clock if you'd like to talk to him on 3538111. This is LBC. Let's go back to the calls. Scott's in Leytonstone. Hello, Scott.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Gary, what was the most hair-raising thing you've done in flight?
Crash. To be honest about it, it was... Actually, I don't know if that's true when I think about it. You know, the crash was over so quickly, you didn't really have time to... I think you need to have time to be scared, because if things are happening very quickly, you're so preoccupied with what you've got to do to stay alive, you don't really have time to be scared. It's only... I've been in other cities. I was flying around the world once in a different aeroplane. We was over the Pacific, about 12,000 feet at night, and both the engines stopped. There was a fuel system problem. Now, that was scary, because we had a long way to go down at night into the Pacific, which is full of sharks, which I'm not particularly keen on. And there was nothing in the world we could do about it. And we also had so many fuel tanks behind us, it took us nearly 5 minutes to get out of the plane, because we had to crawl along this rope which was attached to the floor of the aeroplane, simply to get out, and it was a very tight squeeze. And you literally had to edge your way along. And now that was... I'd imagine, to be honest about it, actually, that was the most scary thing.
What happened in the end? It sounds like an adventure story.
Well, what had happened was we had a pressure feed going into the front, which is basically just a pipe out into the airflow, and that pressurised the tank so it could flow. We had all extra tanks bunged in it to get the range that we needed. And 2,500 miles across the Pacific. It's a long way on a little aeroplane. And what had happened was it had frozen. And so you had an airlock, and the thing stopped running. And down it went, and as it went further and further down, we got down about, I think, 3,000 feet in the end. And the air was warmer, and it melted, and the engine started up again, and we went up, and it happened again. Because we didn't know what it was. We had no idea that was a problem. So down we went again. And then on the second time, we sort of figured out what it might be. But that was a problem, because we had 200 miles of range in those nose tanks, and we needed it, really.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Scott. Right. Jeanette. Or is it Janet?
Jeanette.
Right, Jeanette.
Hello, Gary.
Hello.
I was wondering, do you get upset by the national radio's not playing your records a lot?
Yes, it is a big problem, to be honest about it.
Yeah.
You see, that you can write the greatest song in the world, and if nobody plays it, then nobody hears it. I mean, I'm not saying I do, but I write sort of fairly average stuff, I suppose. But it is a problem when you spend a long time on something and you can't give it away. And I know my mum's the worst. She sits and listens to the radio and says, "Look, isn't that rubbish?" and all that. And there is a fair amount of strange things put on. And some of the things that they say, some of the reasons they give for not playing them can be a little bit hurtful at times.
Jeanette, tell me why you think they're not playing it.
I'm not really... I've never heard any of his records on the radio, actually. And it was my boyfriend that introduced me to Gary Numan, and that's all thanks to Alan, so... I'm not sure why they don't play it. It's a bit disappointing, actually, when they play all the recent records and they don't play any of his records.
The thing that annoys me the most is when they play Cars or Our Friends Electric, because that don't do me no good whatsoever. No, that's been there.
They play that quite a lot recently, you know.
Yeah, they didn't play it when it was out, though.
Yeah, they don't play the recent ones.
No.
So it's a bit disappointing when I'm listening to the radio and there's none of my favourite pop star on there.
You want to be me.
Jeanette, thank you very much indeed for the call. Now then, I think we're probably going to do just what you asked us not to do. We're going to play Our Friends Electric. This is a little bit of nostalgia for me, and probably for you. Presumably you haven't actually disowned this thing, have you?
No, it's a funny thing. It's almost like a friend, because it really did change my life, and I can still remember writing it. And I've kept the piano that I wrote it on. It doesn't work anymore, it's all knackered now, but I kept it. I'll keep it forever.
Here it is, from 1979. It was earlier than that, wasn't it?
No, it was 79.
79. Our Friends Electric from 1979 and Gary Numan, which was quite a surprise when it came out, without any doubt. Where did you get all of that sound from? Was there anybody that you would say helped you get the sound together?
No, the sound was very fortunate. I walked into a studio one day simply to do some demos, and somebody had left behind a synthesizer called a Mini-Moog. And I don't know, the bloke was going to pick it up in about an hour's time, you know, because I was a bit early. And I pressed the key, because I couldn't play keyboards or anything like that, and I didn't have an idea about what the different dials and things did. And I pressed it, and I liked the sound. And from that day on, I thought I'd get into this, you know. So when I did the albums, I got in a Mini-Moog and another synthesizer. And that was it, and the sound was already on it, really.
Who developed, maybe it was you, the kind of alien culture that went with it? I mean, extraterrestrial, because I remember on the album there was some quite good graphics and pictures, which obviously somebody had put a lot of thought into a concept of extraterrestrialism.
I think I went out to a club once, and there was a bloke walking around all dressed in black, and I thought, Christ, that looks good. So I got that from him. I never know who he is. And I got the...
He does. You'll be hearing from his solicitors in the morning.
Yeah, I suppose. And I got some of the titles from a William Burroughs book. I got some of the titles. Do you remember the old Oz magazines? They got banned having pornographic Rupert Bear cartoons and things. Well, somebody gave me all of them. And there were some very good items in that. And basically, I just pieced all these pieces together. Put it all together, and that was that. It seemed quite simple, like a jigsaw puzzle with sound and pictures.
How much did people did they believe it?
A lot. I think the press had a lot to do with it, though. I mean, I never intended to go on stage and not smile and be very sombre. The reason I didn't smile on the first Top of the Pops was because I was so scared. It's honest. I was ever so nervous, really, really frightened of it. You can imagine, like, I was just 21. And I've been watching Top of the Pops for I don't know how many years, and all of a sudden I'm on it. And it happened literally within 2 weeks. I was nothing, with no interviews, and then 2 weeks later we got this chance for Top of the Pops, because the single had suddenly started to move. And I was petrified, and I didn't smile. And the press picked up on it and said that I was moody and miserable and all these things. And and it seemed to be working, so I just shut up and let them get on with it. And the money kept coming in, and I kept shutting up.
Back to the calls on Nightline in just a moment. Gary Numan is with me on Nightline. If you'd like to talk to him, then dial the number. Here is Sherry in East Ham. Hello, Sherry.
Hello.
Hello.
Gary?
Yes.
Yeah, you know the European tour you was meant to be doing in January? Why was that cancelled? Was it because of the flying that you're going to be supposed to be doing in May?
To be honest about it, we never actually did finalise the tour. We never got any finished dates together. And I know a lot of I don't know if they're fans or not, but started getting coach tours together. I know one bloke's got about 5 coaches lined up for a tour that we're not even doing. And he's taking money, and these people are taking a lot of money for this, and it's something that in a fan club we're trying to sort out.
Yeah, because like when we went to some place in Wembley, they had leaflets, you know, actually saying...
Yeah, I know.
And things, yeah.
Some of the leaflets they was given out on the last tour were actually done all in the same lettering as the album cover and everything, and it really did look official.
Yeah,
and they were quite flash, these leaflets, all glossy and colour. And it really did look like it was on, and it looked like we was doing it, and we was running it, and we wasn't.
Well, we got our money back, which was quite surprising. I mean, they did take our money, and we kept writing off to them, and then they did write back to us and said, like, it was cancelled, and we did get our money back.
Oh, that's good. There's about 6 people doing it, I think, at the moment, in quite a big way, and we're looking into it, to be honest.
Yeah, I think I know what I'm going to ask next. If I could have a signed autograph, please.
Yeah.
Okay, well, actually, I'll tell you what, Sherry, what I will do, apart from offering you the chance to do that, is to give you the address of the fan club. You mentioned the fan club, Gary, which is in P.O. Box 14 in Staines, in Middlesex. The Gary Numan fan club, P.O. Box 14, Staines in Middlesex. Joe's our next caller from St Albans. Go ahead, Joe.
Hello, good evening, Gary.
Hello.
Can you hear me all right?
Well, Joe, not so well. Shout a bit.
Okay, is that better?
That's better.
All right. Yeah, Gary, I've got 1 or 2 ideas. I'm thinking of doing a recording, and I was wondering what advice you could give to anyone who's thinking of having a go.
The funny thing about advice is what worked for me and what made me famous probably wouldn't have worked for me about 2 months later, because the circumstances would have been different, and the timing, the DJs that were working there may have changed, and their preferences may have been different. Even the journalists that talked to you, the one that you spoke to, me, for example, liked me. I could have spoken to somebody else who didn't if I'd have been given a different journalist to speak to. And so all of those things could have suddenly gone wrong. For example, when I made it, the single was released as a picture disc, which are very rare then. And so the single got to about number 70, and because of that it got on top of the pops. And it was just luck that it happened to come out at that particular time as a picture disc. And so I'm afraid that advice is a very, very difficult thing to give, because what I could say to you probably wouldn't work for you. It worked for me, but it wouldn't work for anybody else, because things have changed now.
Yeah.
And the taste in music have changed, and the way you can sell records has changed now.
Yeah. What I was actually getting at, what steps I could take to actually record a single. Hello?
Yeah, I'm listening. I'm thinking about it, actually.
His brain's going around. What do you mean, Joe?
Well, I've got 1 or 2 ideas. Is that Dan?
Yeah.
Yeah, good evening, Dan. I've got 1 or 2 ideas on writing a tune, and I want to record it, and I want to finance it myself, because talking to people, there are some people that will literally do anything to get on top of the pops, as Gary was saying, and they don't, if you like, get their proper lion's share of the royalties, because they'll sign anything.
You see, if you want to make your own recording, and if you get together the money, which might take some people longer than others, then you can go ahead and do it, and then you have a single, even if it's only an acetate, to tout around, don't you? That's the way that you might perhaps try and do it. Is that fair advice, Gary?
Yeah, the thing is, if you want to get a record to sell, you really do need to sign to a major record company. Well, not a major record company, but a record company or some note, because they're the only people that have got the clout to get it onto the top of the pops. Because it does take things like strike forces and proper distribution to have any chance at all. There are very, very rare exceptions to that, but they're exceptions, and you can't really go along on those lines. So when you do sign to a company, you will be signing away the rights to that song anyway for a given percentage, and that's the way it is, unfortunately. And when I signed up, I was a nobody, and so the deal wasn't particularly good. And it's only when I became successful that I could renegotiate it, if you like. But because of that, I'd lost a fair amount of money by having not an unfair deal, but not the best I could have got, perhaps, if I'd have been a little bit more cautious when I signed.
I'm told that young bands, young musicians are getting a bit brighter about that these days, and even though they haven't actually made it, quite a lot of them will have taken some legal advice.
Well, you all take legal advice, but it's when you're keen to sign, you can take all the advice you like, but all you want to do is sign. And all you want a bloke that you go to say is, yeah, it's all right, and if he says it's okay, it could be better, then you'll sign, because you're keen to make it, and that's exactly what I did. Legally now, it's getting you do have to present a fairer contract. I'm now on the other side of it, where I'm now giving out contracts, if you like. And we were advised that these contracts must be fair, because in 2 or 3 years' time, if somebody makes it, they could then go back to you, go back into court and say that we signed this and it was an unfair contract when we signed it. The thing that Elton John's done a similar thing recently.
John.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
I'd like to ask Gary, who did he like most when he was a young child?
Well, musical, you mean?
Yeah.
Musically. When I was a young child, when I was about 4 or 5, it was the Shadows. When I got a bit older, it was the Monkees. And then it was Mark Bolan. And then from then on, I got very into the glammy things. So there's Bowie, obviously, The Sweet, all that lot, really.
Thanks for the question, John. Aaron in Hanworth. Hello, Aaron.
Could Gary tell me why the original Two by Army split up?
The original Two by Army didn't really. It was me, Paul Gardner, and my Uncle Gerald on drums. Now, Gerald had a house and not a wife as such, but as near as you can get without being married. And he didn't want to go professional. He didn't want to take the risk of losing a job that he had. It sounds all very silly now, but at the time it was a very valid point.
Yeah.
And so Gerald left, and I thought, without Gerald, it isn't much of a band anyway. And so I went off on my own, and Paul went his way. And
when why did Paul leave when you kind of all split up? So I've seen you in concert 4 or 5 times from the Pleasure Tour onwards.
What, Paul left after that, you mean?
Yeah, after the Telly Tour. I saw the Wembley, last tours at Wembley.
Yes.
And, I never understood why I left after that.
Well, Paul had a drug problem, unfortunately, which eventually killed him.
Yeah, so. I think it's quite upsetting, though.
Yeah, it was a bit.
Yeah.
But that was that. He was always around. He used to come down to the studio all the time, and he came on stage during the Warriors tour. So he was always there. It was just a matter that he wasn't that together, unfortunately. And we was just waiting for him to either, to sort himself out on the drug thing.
Did he ever get close to sorting himself out?
He seemed to, yeah. He seemed to get really better, much better. And then all of a sudden, he would disappear for a while, and you'd find him again, and he was in desperate straits again. It seemed like once it got him, it had got him, and that's all there was to it. And eventually, he died. And it's horrible, really. It's the only person I've been really close to that's ever died on me, and it was very unpleasant because it was because of Paul I got the contract, because I wasn't very pushy. Paul went out and got it, and Paul was the one that stuck with us through everything, and it was terrible, really. And I'm very, very much against drugs and anything like that. Not just because of that, but that's certainly sort of hit the nail on the head, really, as far as drugs are concerned.
Aaron, thank you for the call. I wish we had more time because there are a lot of people who like to talk to you, Gary. I think we should say that the new single is called This Is Love. And when are you next to be seen in the air?
I hope it should be in Biggin Hill Air Show, which is in early May. That's the first one scheduled, but there may be others coming in. But Biggin Hill, I think, would be the one.
And then a whole series throughout the summer?
Yes, most weekends in the summer.
Well, we wish you well with that. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you.
On Nightline, let's finish with some music. This is called I Still Remember from the album Gary Numan, The Fury, which is the last album released. Gary, great pleasure to meet you. Thanks very much for coming in on a Sunday night.
Thank you.
Welcome to our end-of-term disco. Another white night out in the company of David Bowie, Lou Reed, Sting, Everything But the Girl, Massive Attack, Cooler Shaker, The Clash, Sandy Shaw and Salad. But who's going to be the first to get the genitals out on this week's show? Perhaps it'll be this bloke. He dreams of wires, his friends are electric, and evidently his batteries are Duracell. Gary Numan!
For safety along, I can lock all my doors and it's the only way to live in harm. Here in my car, I can only
promo when you've got Gary Numan, and we'll have more later.
It's cold outside, and the paint's burning up on my walls. There's a man outside in a long coat red, smoking a cigarette. So now I'm alone, now I can think for myself about little deals and rescues and things that I just don't understand. Like a white light at night, or a sly touch at times. Oh, I don't think it meant anything to you.
Our friends Electric, back and cooking on gas, that's Gary Numan. Right, we've got Bully and Massive Attack soon, but first, another trip to the...
Gary had a very strange sort of fan base. I mean, almost fanatical, weren't you?
Yeah, he has, yeah, and still has, I should imagine.
Oh, he still has. Say hello to him.
Good morning, Gary.
Hello, mate.
How you doing?
I'm all right, thank you.
Great to speak to you.
Why are you a big fan of Gary Numan? Tell me, what was it about Gary Numan that made him unusual?
It wasn't so much unusual, it was the fact that he was... I just need to repeat what a lot of fans think about Gary, is that the fact that it was so different, very strong image.
Yeah.
The music was very strong as well, came over very well, very tidy, as opposed to the old punk days where they didn't seem to care. They're very untidy, very unorthodox, and Gary came over very strong, very tidy, you know, very cool image.
What we really want to know, Gary, is how old you are. I mean, I'm over 40, I have to tell you, Gary.
I was 38 last Friday.
Oh, you... Really?
Yeah.
Damn. Is music necessarily a young person's business still, or can those of us who are over the first flush of youth still have something to do with it?
Well, some of the biggest people in the world are over 40. Yeah. Although personally, I think it becomes a little bit less than dignified above a certain age. And I've never wanted to do it into my 40s, but you find yourself getting close to 40 and enjoying it just as much.
There's no reason why you shouldn't. I mean, that was the music of your youth and my youth. And
I really am sort of a hypocrite, because I used to say the opposite to this. Right. You really shouldn't be doing it when you get into my age, but I am, and I love it more now than ever, really.
John, are you upset that Gary's coming back, or has...
not at all, Gary. I mean, even coming back with all this stuff, at least you're out there doing it. That's the important thing, to be able to go and see you live. But what I did want to ask you, Gary, was that the fact that with the Carling Premier thing, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but I noticed...
Too late now, isn't it? Get on with it.
Yeah, indeed, yeah. But I noticed that the recent TV... Sting had a record out promoting a product as well, and he's on the TV pushing his newer stuff. I wonder if you had ever thought about perhaps letting Cars go, and perhaps going along with the newer stuff. I know the LP out was ready to go, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, I did the White Room, and they told me to do Cars and Our Friend Electric, with songs from 1979, and wouldn't let me do any new stuff. And I can't go on top of the pops with a new song unless it gets in the chart, and the radio won't play it, so they won't get in the chart, and so on it goes. And at the moment, I'm desperate enough to, if an old song comes out and people buy it, then I'll promote that.
Yeah.
I'll promote anything.
Have you got a new song out at the moment or not?
No, I've had to put an album back to September to make way for what's going on now.
But they can go get some of the old stuff, and then you can listen to talk radio, and then in between you can play bits.
Well, there was
of
an album
Gary's
out last year.
Is it?
Yeah, so there is new stuff coming out. It's just that the singles don't do well enough to get in the charts.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back here on Talk Radio. If you want to talk to Gary Numan, give us a call, 0345 1050 389. If you want to talk about anything other than Gary Numan, call us on the same number. Back after this. Talk Radio. Great talk all the time. This is, as they say, Talk Radio. I'm in for Jonathan King this morning, and Gary Numan is my guest. Gary, of course, is in a second flush of success at the moment because of another commercial. Commercials have done a lot for pop music, haven't they? Sort of since the Jeans commercial and stuff like that.
Well, the very first thing I ever did before I got successful, I sung on a Lee Cooper Jeans advert in 1979, very early 79. So I started doing that.
I should make sure we get free jeans for the next year or something. Just before we go back to talking some calls about Gary, and particularly want to talk about flying, which is quite interesting, because at the end of the show, John Nichols is going to be in the studio. He was the navigator in the tornado that was shot down, so we'll talk a bit about your flying. Are you still into flying?
Oh, very much.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a moment. Let's see, Simon is in Gloucester. We'll come to Simon in a moment. Leslie is in Worcestershire. Oh, Leslie, actually, that'll cheer you up. Leslie, you're on Talk Radio. Hello.
Yes, hello. Good morning. Well, I just rang in because I'm sort of pottering around in the house and I've got the radio on and listening. And I hadn't seen Gary Numan for many years and was watching T.O. Top of the Pops the other night.
Yes.
And there he was. So I quickly rang my friend and said, have you got Top of the Pops on? Turn it on quickly. So she went and turned it on, and I said, look, it's Gary Numan. Doesn't he look an absolute dish? This, rather strange-looking young man from years ago has turned into an absolute hunk. And she said, my God, you're right.
He's going completely red in the studio. Where is he going? A very funny colour.
And her 9-year-old son was also in the room, and as she turned the television on and went back to the phone, he said, look, Mum, it's Robert Palmer. But so I just rang in to say, we'd often wondered what had happened to him and what he'd been doing, and great to hear that record again. My own 9-year-old son insists I go out and buy it for him, and I think Gary is looking absolutely tremendous.
Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you very much.
Just to remind everybody else, the record that I suppose everyone, and the staring eyes and the rather robotic stance of Gary Numan on stage when this was a huge hit. And what were the fans were called, the Army, weren't they?
Numanoids.
The Numanoids. Let's have just a couple of seconds of this. Here it is. Gary Numan and Cars. And when you were up there, I always wanted, because when you were at your peak, Gary, you didn't do a lot of interviews and you didn't talk to her. I mean, you were unapproachable, probably because everybody said that's how it should be. Do you regret that or not, or do you think that was all good for the image?
The weird thing about all this is I was being asked to do interviews and I was never being told that I was being asked. You're shielded. You're not shielded, actually. You're smothered by record companies often, and there would be a whole mass of stuff coming in that I had no idea was even being offered, and the record company decide whether it's good for you to do it or not.
Because reading some of the biography about you as well, they say you're a very right-wing conservative. You have extreme right-wing views.
That's all trot, complete trot.
I mean, I was a bit worried when you walked in here in the black leather, but then I hear you came on a motorbike.
That's right. I got suckered into that some time ago. There was a television program supposed to be about music and politics, and I was supposed to be the one in the middle that said it shouldn't be politics shouldn't be in music at all. And I got stitched up really because I ended up coming out of this right-wing thing. And once I voted Conservative and I've paid for it ever since. But that's about as political as I ever got.
OK, Karen in Walton-on-Thames. What's the weather like, Karen? You're on Talk Radio.
It's beautiful and sunny here.
Is it really?
Absolutely gorgeous, yeah.
Now, you're prepared to admit that you're a fan of Gary Numan?
I am very prepared to admit it, yes. He's just been my idol for years.
Were you a Numanoid?
I very much was, yes.
And what did a Numanoid have to do?
Well, we all used to
Within
dress
reason.
I used to have, I used to have my hair all black with the red stripe in it and everything, dressed all in the clothes. Used to go around his house all the time and pester him, poor chap.
Oh, really? Oh, right. Yeah. Do you ever get in?
Yes, we did several times.
Oh, did you?
Yes, and
Really?
he took us on his aeroplane and everything. Yeah, he's a really nice guy.
Yeah.
So, and can I just say, he is sex on legs in them boots. They are just wonderful.
And Karen, might one ask how old you are now?
I'm 32 now.
Oh, that's excellent. Isn't this
And my
good?
daughter loves Gary as well, and she's
Yeah.
5, so...
You see, when we've got Blur and Oasis and all the other the bands who think they're really sort of, they have attitude at the moment, I quite often think, and then people say to me, we're getting old, that they don't know what attitude is.
Well, I just think... I just think that Gary Numan just is better than anybody I've seen in the past or that's around at the moment. So whether he's got attitude or not, it doesn't matter, because to me and to lots of people that I know,
You
really
can
think he's brilliant.
Assure me, Karen, that you and your daughter won't be hanging around outside his house anymore.
No, not anymore, but I will be going to see him in Guildford Civic on the 3rd of April.
Oh, excellent. Well, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
All right, Karen.
Okay, thanks very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Before we talk a little bit about flying, do you think the right-wing image hurt your career?
It could have done, yeah, but it's a strange thing to happen in democracy, isn't it?
It is really, isn't it? Yeah. Tony's in Woolwich. OK, Tony, you're on Talk Radio. Hello.
Hello, Gary.
Hello, mate.
You are the greatest.
Thank you.
You've been a Numanoid since 79.
I'm looking old, apparently.
No, you're fantastic, don't worry. Just to say that Sacrifice was excellent. It was a fantastic album.
Thank you, cool.
Best you've done for years.
Yeah, I thought so. Actually, I was quite chuffed with that one myself.
Machine and Soul was a bit trot.
Yeah, I thought that as well.
I know that everybody listens to Talk Radio, but I'm always amazed. Here we are talking to Gary Numan, and the people who would be into music and stuff are there tuned to Talk Radio as well. That's excellent.
Surprising.
So I'll expect all the old Gary Numan fans to be tuned in to Talk Radio from now on, Tony. I want you to go out this morning and tell them that's where they could hear about their idol.
Yeah, he's been doing quite a lot of the rounds lately.
Yeah.
I've got a 7-year-old son and a 4-year-old son, and they think you're great. They do the world bits from Friends. Honestly, they love it.
The world bits, yeah.
Yeah, so thanks very much for everything you've done for us.
Oh,
for
my
the fans.
I've enjoyed it.
Well, looked after us.
Thank you, Tony. It's strange, isn't it, really? I mean, it's sort of how fans have carried... I mean, Take That'll never have the chance to discover whether or not their fans would have
I think I've
lasted.
been very lucky, because from 83 onwards, I've had a real radio problem, and so it has been a struggle. Yeah, I'm not trying to be modest or anything. It's been very, very difficult, and I have struggled for many years. And the only reason I have this second chance now, as it were, is because they've stayed with me. And it's not always been easy to be a Numan fan. There's been a lot of mickey taken over the years, and a lot of ridicule in the press and so on.
Well, when you're in your 30s, it's a bit silly to go around with sort of red streaks in your hair, isn't it? I suppose it's a little bit difficult.
Yeah, the last image I had like that was when I had blue hair, which was 1985 or 84.
What do you think about the Sex Pistols getting back together?
Bizarre, to be honest about it. I kind of thought that had its moment, really. Yeah. It'd be interesting to see what happens, but it's odd.
I mean, to see sort of middle-aged men now sort of spitting at people and stomping all over the stage, I think it's going to be a little...
And it was more than the bands. It was there was a whole feeling around the time. The audience was as much a part of it as anything, and it's gone. You know, and I don't fully understand it, but let's just have to wait and see what happens. Could be wrong.
Although most musicians will say, well, I've been working all the time. It's just that nobody's actually been buying my records. Yeah. What could you do if you didn't do music? I mean, had you made enough money not to have to bother to work again or not?
Well, yeah, you have to adjust your lifestyle, I guess. But I suppose. But I don't know anyone that would actually truthfully want to do that. If you're reasonably creative, that you want to do that, you know, whether there's not money or not. I think most people would do this if there wasn't any money, because it's still if there was just enough to scratch by, it's still the best job. You get up when you want and you work when you want. It's very good.
The flying thing, I mean, the story about you crashing the plane, of course, which everybody remembers, and you walking and say you'd never fly again.
I never said that.
Did you not say that? It was reported in a lot of the newspapers. That was it. I could never fly again.
No,
it was the worst thing in my life.
I flew the next morning.
You did?
Yeah, I had another aeroplane. 3 at the time. God, that sounds so flash, sorry.
How many have you got now?
Just one. Yeah. Just the one. No, I wasn't flying the airplane that crashed. I was just in
weren't?
it. No, I was in it.
You must have been upset about that, all the stories and how...
Oh, yeah, I got so tired of trying to explain what really happened. We was coming back from France. It was being flown by a commercial pilot. Something went wrong with it and it crashed. It landed in the field and ended up in this tiny little country lane. To read the papers, we landed in the rush hour on the motorway, narrowly avoiding 2 tankers and a school that just happened to be nearby, probably.
Because as I remember, it comes back to me now, what do these pop stars think they are? Fly their aeroplanes all over the place, don't care what they're doing, obviously not qualified to fly properly, and it was the whole thing was aimed at you, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a bit. Since then, I'm a display pilot, been an air display pilot since '83. I'm what they call an evaluator, which means if you want to be a display pilot, you have to be authorised to do it. So you come to me or somebody like me, and I examine you effectively, and I fly with you or whatever and see if you're good enough or not.
So you have to be a very competent pilot to do that?
Yep.
And you can earn your living as a pilot now?
I teach people how to be display pilots, effectively. Well,
So all the idea of hard-living, hard-drinking, drug-taking, rock and roll superstar Gary Numan out of the window because you couldn't do any of that and fly?
Well, not the day after. No, I've never been drunk, actually. I've never drunk in my life. I don't smoke.
Because when you were promoted as a bit of an androgynous being, weren't you, really?
Yeah, you see the thing, when all that starts, you see it all starting to succeed, and you see the press, in many ways, creating an image around what they've seen on the television. And if it's working, you let it go. Because it's working, and the money's come in, and you're going up the charts, and you'll be an idiot to stop it. And then all of a sudden, you realise you've let it go too far. And that's a skill of it, in knowing how to handle the media. And I've been notoriously rubbish at that since I started.
Okay, Gary. Simon's in Gloucester, wants to talk to you about flying. Simon, you're on Talk Radio this morning.
Oh, good morning, and good morning, Gary.
Hello.
I just say, because I'm a plane freak myself. In fact, I got a little calling card that advertises myself as plane crazy, but that's another matter.
You mean you fly planes?
No.
Or you just look at them? You're not one of those sad people you find in cars sitting at the end of runways taking numbers, are you?
No.
You sure?
Yeah, and I'm not a train spotter or anything like that. It's a bit of a story, but I won't go into it all unless you can prepare it. Anyway.
Go on then.
What fascinated you about flying? Why did you want to fly, and from what age?
From when I was about 4. It's my earliest memory of it. Mm-hmm. And it's to do with the power, the speed, the technology. To be honest, of all the things I've ever done, and I've done a few, it's by far the most exciting. There's nothing...
Is that why you ride a motorbike as well? Or is that just sort of...
No, it's a similar sort of thing, actually, yeah. Yeah, very similar.
Because John Nichol, who is my guest in the last half hour of the show this morning, is coming in to talk about the RAF wanting to get rid of female frontline pilots. Yeah. And he was the navigator shot down during the Gulf War.
Yeah, I read his book, that's what I did about.
Yeah. So you've never flown yourself, Simon. You're just a bit of an anorak for flying, are you?
I am, I've always I flew 5 times in '79. Incidentally, Gary, I had a road accident and I was in a coma, and you were number 1 on the 25th of July in '79 with Cars, the original, and I think that's great.
It's not a very happy memory, is it?
I don't know how we get from that to, but anyway, it's interesting, Simon.
You haven't let me finish it, have you?
Go on then.
No, and I'm trying to fly by what's called the Douglas Bader Disabled Flying Scheme. I've had one go at it, and one application. I've got one more go later this year for next year, which I hope to succeed.
What you'd really like, of course, Simon, is Gary to say, well, I'll take you up for a little flight in one of my planes.
Well, he's got the 86 Harvard, the Texan, haven't you, Gary?
Have you, Gary?
But in 1943 it was, yeah.
That's right, yeah. You still got it? You still fly with the team?
It's just been rebuilt. I get it back when I come back off tour in about 2 or 3 weeks, yeah.
Do you know a guy called Terry Warren on the Isle of Wight who's got his own list of aircraft?
Yeah.
You do, yeah.
Yeah, we went over there once with some...
I've flown with him once.
So we should fix up for you to take him for a flight.
Yeah, okay.
Do you want to do that?
Yeah. If you would, please,
I think that's what we should do. Would you like that, Simon? I'll twist his arm afterwards.
That is a dream. Don't force him, not unless he wants to, but that is, it does.
No, honestly.
Please, Gary, please.
I keep a record of how many people I've given rides to, and it's over 300 now.
Really?
So, yeah, I'll give rides all the time.
You wouldn't be frightened then, Simon?
Not at all. I've done a parachute jump, I've been hang gliding.
Oh, my God.
Aerobatics, you name name it, I've done it.
Yeah, we do some aerobatics if you like. Yeah.
Please.
Have you actually done a parachute jump or not, Gary?
I've done a parachute jump.
No.
Oh, sorry.
Well, Gary hasn't, no.
I've not.
Simon, I'll put you back to the switchboard.
Okay.
Leave your phone number, and then we can say Jim will fix it for you, can't we, really?
Thank you very much.
Stand by there. Thank you for that. You won't mind doing that, Gary, will you? No. I went to do something some years ago, and I was picked up in a helicopter. They said, come and open a fete. We can't pay you, but you can be picked up in a helicopter. And I said, well, that's okay, all right. And they sent the helicopter to get me, and bloke gave me a call on a mobile phone. First of all, I thought it was a bit funny. He said, I'm phoning from I'm along this road. Whereabouts are you? And is anywhere near there I can land? So I said, and he came down. And this was one of the Navy display helicopters. They're jet helicopters. Never seen anything like this. Yeah. Insisted on taking me up and showing me that you can loop a helicopter.
Yeah, I've seen it. There's a Lynx does it on display circuit.
I've never felt so ill in my entire life. And he said, how are you feeling? As we're hurtling down towards the ground at about however fast they're going, and it's part of it, and then they just swoop up.
Yeah.
And I'm not wishing to show nervousness or anything. I'm saying fine, absolutely fine. He said, well, if you could unclench your knees, I could pull the joystick back and avoid a disaster.
I've got helicopters as well.
Yeah?
Yeah, I got a licence in 81 helicopters.
Apparently, flying a helicopter is a bit like rubbing your stomach and tapping your head at the same time, because he let me have a go, and we just turned over completely.
Yeah, it takes a lot of coordination, helicopters, yeah.
Fascinating meeting you, Gary. Thanks very much indeed for coming in.
Pleasure.
And maybe you'll come back before everybody else rings in and starts asking for a ride as well. Thank you very much, Gary Numan, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back after these words.
London's Water 4.9 XFM, mainly dry with bursts of sunshine, patchy cloud, light breeze later today. High is 24 degrees Celsius. It's Tuesday the 31st of August, which, as everyone knows, is International Gary Numan Day, and to talk to us about that today is Gary Numan. Hey! We've just played Fear Factory, and what's that all about then? How did that come about? Do you know anything about it?
Well, yeah, I'm on it.
Yeah, well, obviously. Yeah, but I mean, is it?
Not that much.
Did you do it live, or did they sampled you, or?
No, they flew me to Canada. It was great. It was what 4 or 5 days. Me and Gemma, my wife.
Yeah.
And it took about.
Hi, Gemma.
It took about 10 minutes because I've done it a lot. Obviously, yeah. So, and I did it twice because the first one wasn't good enough.
How did they tell you that? How on earth? Right? How on earth? They fly you out there. You sing the song, right? And then they think, well, it's not very good, is it? It's like, well, you tell him, I'm not telling him. You go on, you have a word with him.
No, the standard excuse is, oh, sorry, my level wasn't quite right.
Oh, really? Yeah.
My fault. Can you do it again? You were great, very lovely.
Yeah, technical problem.
But
yeah, you were fine.
Obviously, so I'm used to that now.
But as soon as you're going to do it again, when you do this note, do you want to do it in tune? May as well, you're doing it twice anyway.
I think I sung the wrong words, actually.
Did you? Well, the first time round.
Got the words wrong, yeah.
So that's doing all right, isn't it? I mean, are they a Canadian band? I don't know much about them, to be fair.
No, American.
So how comes they flew you out to Canada for that then?
They were recording the album. The producer was Michael Reese Forber.
Yeah.
Delirium and so on.
Yeah.
And he uses a studio in Vancouver, so that's where they were. The video was the same. They did the video in the same city, so we went back again. But
you were in that?
Yeah, I was in that as well.
Fantastic.
But another 4 or 5 days went well watching on that one, didn't it?
Was it all right then? I mean, because you've not done much of that for a while, have you?
What, well watching?
What? No, the videos and all that.
No, I've never made a good video in my life. This is a really good one.
Well, yeah, because I mean, the videos have come on leaps and bounds since you were at it, weren't they? Not that you've stopped doing it. I don't want to sound rude, but do you know what I mean? I mean,
please do.
Yeah, they got all that morphing and computer effects and stuff.
Yeah, it's essentially, in some ways, they haven't changed at all, have they?
No.
But in other ways, technically and around, the things that you can do are much, much better.
But you still remembered how to dance and everything?
I never could dance.
Oh, well, that's all right.
Every series of bizarre shapes to another.
Look, it's 8:15. I've got to do this important announcement. Gary Numan's here. It's International Gary Numan Day, all day today, as it's the 22nd of June. You didn't hear that? It's going to be cloudy and drizzly today.
It's the 31st.
Is it? What? Machines. I meant 31st of August. That's what I meant to say. Shit, you shouldn't be in. You should have been in last month. That was International Gary Numan Day. We've blown it. Reading at the weekend. Now, as you know, Reef were our guest last week. They broke our producer's arm. She then had to go to Reading. Right? Apparently. I've got to go for work.
Nearest hospital, Tom.
Yes, is that the nearest hospital? Yeah. The Reading Broken Arm Festival. Couldn't make it into the show the day after, but could get to Reading that evening. Anyway, the upshot of this is that a cast is signed by a cast of thousands. Yeah, yes. And Gary, would you sign her on? Because you're going to give this away Friday. It's going to stink by Friday. I mean, it's going to... Well, they do, don't they? She's already started to get the itch. Yeah. In fact, Ruth, can you feel it itching there?
Stop it, Tom. Do you know I was fine?
Cast.
I was fine until someone said this morning, oh, is it itchy?
It's itchy, isn't it? Can you feel it itching? Can you feel it itchy, 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 itchy? By the way, before you go off, right, what was Reading like?
It was, dirty. Smelly.
Yes.
But very cool, yeah.
All right, and you said Blur were fantastic.
No, I didn't really enjoy Blur. They played for 2 hours, but, not my bag, really.
Yeah. That was not... Thanks.
Oh, yeah, they were great.
Thank you.
They played all the hits.
Oh, that's good. And they'll be doing all the B-sides at the Electric Ballroom in Camden on Monday the 6th of September. And you can go and see those 01717348932. 15 quid, not bad. And, yes, go on.
I've got a Reading rumour.
Another Reading rumour?
Well, there's all stuff about Blur splitting up, maybe, but
Yeah.
I heard from my Ligger friend that maybe Manic Street Preachers might be
Maybe they're splitting
up at the end of the year also.
Well, it's so obese that eventually they're going to burst. Is that...
You stole my joke.
Okay. So, Gary Newman, what do you make of these new young little Turks, these upstart bands? Have you got any favourites?
Manic Street Preachers, upstart.
Well, no, I'm talking about your Blurs and your...
Blur?
These little...
I like Blur, actually, but I didn't go at Reading, so I can't vouch for that particular performance, obviously. Which may not have been up to par, apparently, but...
Apparently they were bored of doing all their old stuff.
Already?
Yeah, exactly.
They've been one for 2 decades.
I'll show them.
I can show them boredom.
London's 4.9, XFM, the Chemical Brothers, and it's International Gary Newman Day today. It's the 31st of August.
I'm sorry.
I'm in the middle of a show. Hey, my producer's doing like a private interview for our own benefit over there. So, Ruth, come on, what have you found out?
Are we talking about Gary's new album, actually?
Oh, well, that's... why don't you tell us about it, Gary?
Well, it's a bit embarrassing, really. It's going very badly.
Right. That's why you don't want to talk to us about it. Oh, I understand.
That's why it was private.
But the Fear Factory thing might help.
Well, it might... help what?
Well, I don't know. I don't know anything about this kind of thing. I can just do jokes. Do you want to hear a funny gag?
Yeah, okay.
What's green and melts in your mouth?
I do know an answer to that one, but... I don't know.
Is it a leper's cock? Is that the answer you're thinking of?
It's similar, yeah.
Yeah, similar. Yeah, I don't think I'm allowed to say that. We got Reef, who broke our producer's hand last week. It's 20 to 9. So, it's now 8:43. We're looking through, is that your new album we're looking through? Pick a track. What are we doing now?
No, my stuff that I like.
Stuff you like?
Not my own stuff, obviously, in that case.
Alright, I understand. Ouch. And apparently, I did that joke about what's green and melts in your mouth, a leper's cock, right? Apparently, someone going knows, right, in his band.
Really not an ex-band member, not current.
Oh, yeah, right. Well, I was trying to be as vague as possible in case I mean, if I said it was your ex-keyboard player, he might sue.
He's Australian, I don't really care.
Oh, right, so he had a green cock after getting VD off a waitress after a gig?
Yeah.
How cool is that? That's the most rock... And apparently it was slightly...
It was L-shaped, yeah.
L-shaped? Wow. Helen Chamberlain, you're the expert on men's cock. Is that a turn-off or a turn-on?
That would be a turn-off.
Really?
I think so.
What about really bright green?
Oh, well, you could find it in the dark. That would be handy.
Yeah, because they do those condoms, don't they? Those luminous bright green condoms. They can help you find it in the dark. Gary Newman, it's International Gary Newman Day. To celebrate that and to tell us all about it, Gary Newman's here in the studio. Are you still flying?
Not as much, but a little bit, yeah.
Didn't you used to, like, crash a plane every week?
Apparently.
And live?
Yeah, regularly.
But what have you got at the moment that you're driving around in then?
Oh, no, I've had the same thing for a long time, so it's called a Harvard, it's a World War II thing.
Does it take like a lot of maintenance? That?
No, not really. It's
Is it a bomber?
No, it was a fighter, an advanced trainer. It has a gun. button.
Right.
Still got a gun.
So you
button,
got 2
but,
seats.
Yeah, this man sits behind. Yeah.
They're ace planes.
It's good, yeah.
If you got 2 seats, does that mean that someone can be in the back going with their mouth?
Yeah.
Fantastic. How cool is that? Hang on a second. Helen's handed me a piece of paper with simply the word fucker on it. I believe it's an aviation joke.
I think we've gone back to the leper's cock, haven't we?
No. No, and I've just been hit across the back of the head by my producer, who clearly doesn't know that Fokker is the name of an aeroplane manufacturers.
But you didn't say that, though.
I said Fokker. I did say that. I really did. They're German, I believe. In fact, Gary Numan helped me out of this. Quickly, desperately help. You've heard of them?
Yeah.
Yeah, you see? There you go. Yeah, little Fokker. Aeroplane. Is what the aeroplanes call each other. You know, they crazy little... that'll be a Fokker over there, that one taking off. There's nothing wrong with that at all. It's just like, so what's that German footballer, Helen Chamberlain?
Mr. Kuntz.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely. Wouldn't it be great if Kuntz was into aviation? He'd have some great...
Who's that?
Yeah. It's Kuntz's Fokker. But you can say that without it being rude in any way. And do you know something, ladies and gentlemen? If you're thinking at home and your hand is reaching for the complaints phone, don't forget it's all in your mind. It's not us. London's 104.9 XFM. How cool is Elvis Presley? Is a question I'm setting there. How cool was Elvis Presley? He had... Minders of Elvis Presley have revealed that he had a pet monkey, right, that he kept, right, a monkey. And he trained the monkey to lift the skirts of female visitors to expose their pants. He didn't have to do that. Surely he was Elvis. He could have gone over and Gary's found a new instrument. What are you playing there, Gary Numan?
I was playing one of my fab hits.
On a what, exactly?
On a Hohner Melodica Student.
Oh, right, let's hear that. Let's go. Hang on, let's... I'll put some echo on, do it again.
Oh, no, I couldn't play it properly twice. Is that better?
Very, very good indeed. London's 104.9 XFM. It's 3 minutes to 10. Helen.
That's not me. Don't.
Helen and Gemma are having Gemma's Gary's missus. And they're having a chat behind my back while I'm trying to do the middle of the show. What are you talking about now? Are you not allowed to say? Oh, well, in that case, what are you talking about now? I've never seen Helen Chamberlain lost for words before. I can't wait to find out what they're talking about. I'll broadcast it live on the air tomorrow morning from 6. Gary, thanks for coming in.
Pleasure, thank you very much.
No, and telling us about your aeroplane. Did you do that bit on air?
I don't think we...
Gary's got a World War II aeroplane that he flies.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did. And bringing in your selection of records, which we had to clean because you had a party last night. and when are you gigging? Are you doing any gigs that we can come and see you at?
One in Manchester, Brixton. Manchester Academy.
Do you still put makeup on and stuff?
November.
Yeah. Ah, fantastic. And that is it for the day. We'll be back tomorrow from 6.
Tom Bin's Breakfast. 104.9 XFM.
Premier. In a world that's losing its head, a lager that doesn't.